Good day, dear Bashar. Arthur here. We are tapping into what we are the vibration of, as everything is here and now. And I understand that each and every one of us is that permission slip in and of itself. Could you please share with us the mechanics of storing energy outside of yourself in order to be able to access it then later at any given point in time? Thank you very much. Ha, Atu, and Aveo.
There is an electromagnetic field around you made of spinning electrons. You can, in many ways, and do in many ways, store energy slightly outside of your physical form there and can draw upon it later when you become more aware of how to make those electrons spin harmoniously, when they spin at the same rate all the time. Then they can act as a kind of a dynamo or a wheel, in a sense, that will store energy that you can tap into at another time.
How are you doing, Bashar?
Perfect, and you?
Perfect.
All right.
A couple questions for you.
Yes.
So my first question is that, in general, I'm living a very passionate life that I very much enjoy. There are a few aspects of my job that I sometimes wish were different, and sometimes I get frustrated when thinking about them.
Can you make them different?
What was that?
Can you make them different?
I think so. That's sort of what I'm struggling between. If I should attempt to change them, kind of push and change them, or if it's something that I need to sort of live into fully in order to transcend.
Well, again, yes. And again, you have to be honest with your self-examination. Are you the one dampening the excitement that could be in those portions of your job because you have certain belief systems that are not allowing you to figure out how to do them in a more exciting way? Or are they truly not representative of your excitement and can't be altered in any way, shape, or form according to the parameters of the job that would actually be representative of your excitement, which might be a clue that this isn't overall the job for you? So you have to make that determination within yourself, but always check with yourself first to make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement when it could be something exciting if you can open your imagination and do it in a more exciting way. So,
okay. So it would, if it's something that I can't immediately change in my current, for the most part, I love my job. It's a small aspect I wish is different. And it's something I foresee I likely am going to need to be doing. What would your advice?
Well, what is your job?
I'm a high school teacher.
Yes.
And part of I work at a boarding school, and part of my job is that I have to coach certain sports. And there's a sport that I'm coaching this winter with an individual who I don't particularly enjoy working with. And there's elements of that specific part of my job I wish were different, and it's looking like I might not be able to change them.
All right, and why don't you enjoy working with that individual?
He's just much more intense than I am, and I would define him maybe as slightly angry and irritable and just energetically. I get along with him, but I get a feeling inside me, like I almost wish I was doing it on my own rather than with him. And then
all right. Is there not something you can do in your interaction that can help him raise his frequency? Can you not, in a sense, be disarming with him?
Yes, I certainly can. And I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to sift out right now is like what's the best way for me to step into this.
All right. Well, I'm not saying this has to be it, but you could open up your imagination and think of a number of different ways you could interact with this individual. First and foremost, of course, not taking the irritation on yourself because you're creating that within your own energy. So the idea is you can attempt some experiments to adopt different aspects of your personality when interacting with that personality to become someone a little different than you are and approach him in a very different way that's more disarming. You may use humor to disarm the intensity of that individual. You may use some form of wisdom or sayings to disarm him, but the idea is to maintain your true personality so that you do not lower your vibration to match his, which is what causes the struggle within you.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
have to approach this as if it doesn't affect you at all. You can look at this individual in a number of different ways, and we would suggest that you explore doing so. Step outside the bounds of what you think your personality is and see what else you may be able to become to interact with that individual. Become a little bit more like a chameleon and shift in whatever way allows you to feel the way you prefer to feel, while allowing a portion of your personality to interact with him in a different way that may allow him to let go of the irritations and anger that he may be experiencing. And you can also have heart-to-heart with this individual, if you haven't done so, to let him know how it is he may be coming across, which he may not even understand. Have you had a heart-to-heart conversation with this person?
And to be fully clear, like, he's just one aspect of it. The other aspect...
I don't care. Don't avoid the question. Have you had a heart-to-heart with this person?
No, I have not.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
I guess it just didn't...
Do you remember that we have said that communication is one of the forms of abundance?
Yes.
This is exactly why. When you can clearly communicate in a loving way what it is that you perceive is going on, you may actually be capable of using that form of abundance to allow the other individual to have an opportunity to change themselves. Not that they have to, not that they will, but at least give them the option, give them the opportunity by allowing them to know how you are perceiving them, how others may be perceiving them. And therefore, they may not even realize how they're coming across, but you can give them an opportunity to know so. Again, doesn't mean they'll change. And again, it doesn't mean you have to feel affected by it. But if it persists beyond the idea of anything that you can do to help the situation be more creative, change in more positive ways, then you may have to determine that it might be possible that you need to be in a different location with different people to do what it is you're excited to do. This isn't the only job in the world where you can do what it is you're doing.
Right. Definitely.
So all of these options are available to you, but you actually have to use your power to act on them. Otherwise, you'll never know what could have changed.
Beautiful. And is this situation that I'm going into, I mean, I know the answer to this, but it's all here for me, right?
Of course. And for others. Again, it's not always a one-to-one reflection when you encounter someone who's nothing like you, but it is in your life for a reason, because you may be able to help them.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, I have one or two more questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you can explain what is happening, like, energetically in my consciousness or one's consciousness when I experience feelings of guilt or unworthiness. What is happening to my consciousness when that's going on?
You are lowering your overall energy frequency, and you are slowing down the transmission of information along the neurological pathways of your body and your brain.
Interesting. Beautiful.
And your final question?
My final question is that I have a tendency to
You choose.
Okay.
I choose. Yes?
Yeah. I often choose to seek approval of others, and I'm wondering what is an effective way to unlearn this.
Why do you care what others think? They're not living your life. You are. You can take advice when and where you feel it's appropriate to absorb it and apply it in your life, but you're the one that gets to decide what's true for you. So why do you care when someone who's not living your life tells you something or needs to approve you? Why don't you simply approve yourself?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And
Thank you. Do you have a good answer? What do you get? Here's the way you ask the question. What am I getting out of needing the approval of others that I'm not doing for myself? What am I getting out of it? Because you don't do anything that you don't believe serves you somehow. And sometimes that simply means that the alternative, because of your belief system, is too scary. So you stay where you are because it's familiar. So
I feel like
what are you getting out of it?
I I feel like I'm often worried about making other people uncomfortable if I'm living my true self, that it's like too much for them. And so I'm
So
very
what?
Yeah.
Again, if you're not doing something intentionally to harm them, intentionally to make them feel uncomfortable, if you're really truly being yourself to the best you can, then whatever they choose to feel is their choice. So why are you going to make your life conditional on someone else's issues?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
No, yeah, it is.
All right.
Helping very much.
So ponder those questions for yourself and see if they still make sense to you, because when they stop making sense, you'll let them go.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are welcome.
All right. Have a good day.
I absolutely will. You may too.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Shauna, and I live in Salem, New Hampshire. I am still fairly new to your teachings. I've been listening in for about a year now. And there are a couple of things that you mentioned which I'm hoping that you can give me clarification on. One is the threshold of believability test. I've heard you mention that. And the other is permission slips. I have a fairly good idea of what you're talking about in regards to permission slips, but if you could clarify that definition, that would be fantastic. And the threshold of believability test, again, if you could clarify that definition so that I may start to notice more about myself and put this test into practice. Thank you so much, Bashar. Good day.
The threshold of believability test is if there is something that you recognize as your preference, but your belief system is saying that it may be a long time before you can actually experience it in your life, then the threshold of believability test is for you to start at a time when your belief system makes it easy for you to accept that it will happen. So in other words, for example, can it be possible? Can it be probable for this thing to manifest that I prefer in my life? No insistence, though. In 20 years, if there is absolutely no hesitation whatsoever to say, yes, I absolutely know for a fact that it's possible that 20 years is more than enough time for something like that to manifest in my life, then you go down the scale. Is it possible in 15 years? Yes, no problem. 10 years? Absolutely more than enough time, no hesitation, answering yes to that at all. 5 years? Not sure. As soon as there is hesitation, that's how long it will take with your present belief system. So you have to find out what belief is telling you that it has to take that long. And if you find that you can change that belief by identifying what it's telling you and changing the story behind it, then you take the test over again. 20 years, no problem. 15 years, no problem. 10 years, no problem. 5 years, absolutely no problem. 3 years? Well, if you hesitate again, even for a fraction of a second, now that's how long it will take with your present belief system. So look again at why you believe it would take that long for whatever reasons you're creating, and see if you can change that belief in a way that you actually know for sure that that's a way you can change the belief. You can't fool yourself. You have to really know that that's simple and it's easy to do. And you keep going down and down and down until you can go down and change anything no further. That's how long then it needs to take in order for you to experience the physical processes necessary for you to fully appreciate it when it manifests, because it will probably take a little time. Some things can happen more instantaneously, but in most cases you will need a process so that you learn what you need to learn, so that by the time that thing happens, you'll be able to handle it in the best possible way that serves you. So that is the threshold of believability. Now, a permission slip is simply any technique, any tool, any ritual, any object, any discipline, anything in physical reality that you believe will help you become more of who you are, because you're attracted to use it because you believe it aligns with your belief system and will actually allow you to circumvent that belief system to have a broader sense of what is possible for you. So if you're attracted to ideas like astrology or crystal ball or tea leaves or anything like that, or a particular religion or what have you, or an object of any kind, it's because you believe it will help you do what you need to do, to make the changes that you need to make. Now, of course, you're making the changes. The belief system and the permission slip, in that sense, are working hand in hand to make it seem easier to accept the change within yourself, but they're not actually doing it for you, the permission slip. It's just a way of saying, with this assisting me, I believe I can change. Ultimately, you realize you are the actual permission slip, and you can change in any way, shape, or form that you prefer to at any time without necessarily needing a ritual or an object to make it easier for you to do so.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Hi, today I want to talk about children.
Yes.
So I've listened to a lot of your material, and I'm super excited because I am following what you've said, the new education system. So we're hanging out with children, and they're following their passion, and it's really fun and exciting.
All right.
Thank you so much for that. So I have a daughter, and I'm just wondering she tells me about a past life when she lived with Jesus, and Jesus was her brother.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about what she's actually remembering?
Well, again, she may be making an energetic connection to that being for a number of reasons. Remember, there's no such thing as a true past life. It's simply that all things exist simultaneously, and a person will connect vibrationally and energetically to whatever and whoever who exists simultaneously in another time frame is representative of the theme that they're exploring in this life. So if that particular individual, part of Jesus's family, is somebody that has a frequency that aids and assists her in the theme she chose to explore in this life, the connection will simply be automatic. And it may come through as if it's a memory, but that's just the space-time linear way of looking at those connections that happen, because you don't necessarily know or believe that everyone actually exists at the same time.
Okay, because, she talked about this when she was young, and she would still bring it up now.
Yes.
So
well, how old is she?
What's that?
How old is she?
She's 8.
All right. That's still well within the ability of children to make those connections.
Okay, yeah, and where she's still talking about it, I feel like that she's still connecting with either the energy of Jesus himself or something to do with that vibration is still relevant right now.
Yes, well, and again, like we spoke of earlier, that's part of the collective shell. Therefore, children being born, and that have been being born for quite some time, remember, aren't forgetting as much of who they are and have the ability more easily than many adults to tap into the different shells as they need them and the different archetypes as they need to. So it's not uncommon now for children to be speaking of things that may seem strange to adults, but are actually quite natural for them to be capable of doing to aid and assist and guide them and adults in your reality into understanding more of the nature of your overall consciousness.
Okay, great. Yeah, she is guiding me a lot. And so part of this new education system, my daughter and I have been doing this really cool thing called world schooling, where we're traveling, and we actually bought an RV. And we'll joke around and say, like, oh, our RV is like our spaceship.
Yes.
So, and I've been listening to you talk about the hybrids are in these like Tic Tac spaceships.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could just, and even if the hybrid children want to, speak through you, or I'm just trying to make a comparison to what we have, our motorhome, right? We fill it with gas, we can drive it around, we park it at a campground.
Yes.
We have different tanks that everything filters through. Can you compare like our RV to like how the hybrid ship, like do they have tanks? Do they have gas?
No, they don't have gas, and you should know that.
Okay.
The idea,
fuel,
again,
I guess I should say.
Well, not really. The idea is they tap directly into electromagnetic and gravitic energy and cosmic energy to move the craft. In a sense, they travel on different forms of light. But the idea is you can certainly identify with their craft and identify with the idea of your RV being like their craft and that they transport you where you wish to go. So you can certainly overlap those vibrations if you wish, if it helps you maintain the vibrational state in your consciousness that makes it easier for you to connect to the hybrids. You can always do that. But your RV is nothing like their ships. Their ships are nothing like your RV in terms of its technology.
That I totally figured. Do they have like a separate place when they're actually driving it, and then do they have beds like in a different section where they sleep?
Some ships do, some ships don't, because they're only for temporary transportation. Again, just like some of your automobiles, they don't necessarily have to have a bed. It doesn't mean you couldn't fall asleep in them, but it's not exactly what you prefer to sleep in. So some of them do, some of them don't. It just depends on their function.
I see. Okay. So if I'm thinking about the tic-tac crafts, maybe that would be more like an airplane that's taking them from wherever they are to their
In some ways, yes, more like that.
Okay, and then they go to like their headquarters under the sea, and then they have.
Yes.
I mean, are they sleeping? Are they eating? Are they going
Sometimes.
to the bathroom?
Well, yes, sometimes. Now, again, their systems are far more refined than the humans on Earth, so they don't necessarily eat as much. They don't eliminate as much. They don't sleep as much. But the idea is that sometimes they do all these things. Nevertheless, it's a similar experience, but in a way, less of what humans do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are welcome so much. Good day.
Good day.
Hello. Bashar, my question is, are we controlled by a microorganism in our brain? Thanks.
No.
Oh, good day, Bashar. Hello.
What would you like to discuss?
Well, I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk with you today. So I have experienced the power of the formula that, I learned about it in 2013. And right away, I had a desire to have a private session with you. I didn't have any money. I booked a ticket to California. And within like a week, somebody on Instagram, I don't know who, decided to buy like $8,500 worth of my artwork without even seeing it. Boom, done.
That's how it happens.
My intention. I'm so aware, and it's been such a ride since then, getting to experience the synchronicity. That is like my excitement, my joy, and my passion. Like just being aware of the synchronicity, following the trail.
Yes.
Incredible things happen. Like,
Absolutely.
And I'm all good with that.
Yes, there are so many more doors that can open through which the things you need can come than most people on your planet are aware of.
Okay, I am aware of the doors. My question is, I'm not allowing myself to walk through the ones that I know that are there.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
Well, I don't know. Like,
yes, you
I'm
do.
Getting better. I'm getting better at the formula. Just like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, the very last part of the formula about staying in a positive state.
Yes.
What would seem, what was happening was a bunch of so-called negative events, and I just knew it. And I'm like, nope, something better is going to happen. I just know it. I could feel it.
Yes.
And not only did something better, and it was like a cumulative, like supposed negative things. I'm like, oh, something really good is going to happen.
Yes.
And something even better than I expected happened. So
exactly.
I know that vibration.
Yes.
Okay.
So then why would you be afraid to walk through any of the doors?
It's not that I'm afraid to walk through them. It's just I know they're there and I can't seem to find them, and I know obviously.
But you will find them through synchronicity, just like the person that bought your artwork. You didn't necessarily know that door was there, but it will reveal itself in perfect timing when it needs to. You don't have to be aware in that sense and know exactly where the doors are. That's the details. Let the details take care of themselves. You just have to know the doors are there.
Okay, so with that being said then, how can I distinguish the difference of knowing and believing that those doors are there, right?
Well, you've already had the experience that they are, so why don't you know that?
Right, no, here's the question though.
Yes.
I mean, like, how do I know then if something's just not relevant for me to experience in this lifetime.
Then
Like,
you
when
won't
do I just-
experience it.
But what if I still then have the desire for something? That means then there's the door, or
Well, it depends on the reason for the desire. It can be a recognition that something is relevant, or it can simply be, again, a fear-based belief telling you that you need this thing when you don't. So you have to be honest within yourself to know the difference between true excitement and anxiety. What's the insistence about? Because desire, in the negative sense, is insistence. So are you insisting that this thing must happen?
That's the thing. It's not so much an insistence.
As it is.
When I'm not in alignment, it comes from other sources. Like I have to
Yes.
have this in order, whatever.
All right.
But when I'm in alignment, I know, okay, I'm eternal, so it doesn't really matter. This is my experience here.
Yes.
But if I were to experience it here, it would even be better.
You're making an insistent judgment by saying it would be even better. You don't know that. You don't know that. That's the first thing that people have to realize when we talk about the aspect of the formula that says no assumption, no insistence. What we're actually saying is, if you're really honest with yourself, you realize you don't know what the best outcome actually needs to look like. So don't think you do. That's insistence.
Agreed. And that I hear you in those moments in my life.
All right.
But
But what?
there's just like something else I know.
Then let it happen. If it's relevant for you, it will happen. Get on with your life. Do what you can act on. Don't forget, all versions of your excitement are interconnected and will lead to other versions, even if they don't appear that to be connected. Even if you have no idea how one thing could lead to another, they're all interconnected if they are truly representative of your passion. So just get on about doing what it is you can do. Well, then you don't need these other questions if you understand that.
Okay.
Because everything that is relevant for you will unfold.
Right. Well, okay. Well, obviously, then when I'm not in alignment, then I have those questions. But
exactly.
When I am, okay, that's why it's like, okay, I'm right.
That's one of your first clues as to when you are or are not in alignment.
Yeah. All right. Then while you're in front of me, so to speak, can I ask you if you have a permission slip that will help me get out of my way when I'm in those moments that I haven't ventured into yet?
Well, all you have to do is ask yourself what you're getting out of being in those moments that aren't in alignment. Because you always do things, you always choose things that you believe are to your benefit. So ask yourself, as a permission slip, what benefit am I getting from this? But you have to be very honest in your answer. Because
how do I do that better?
It's very easy. Just pay attention.
How?
You have to be honest. You have to be transparent with yourself. It has to be okay for you to realize you're doing something you don't prefer to do, and let that be okay. So the idea again is, when you ask, well, if I'm doing something that's out of alignment, what is the benefit of that? Then just sit with it and use your imagination and say, well, what am I getting out of this? Well, maybe it's safer than the alternative. Maybe I believe that. Maybe the negative belief is convincing me that if I actually went forward, something worse would happen. And it's safer to just stay where I am, even though I don't prefer it. You have to use your imagination to examine all the probabilities of why you're choosing to do what you're doing. That's all you have to do. Just be in that process. You'll find the answer if you're willing to. That's all it takes.
All right.
So, when those moments happen, don't rush past them. Don't get on with something else. Don't ignore them. Stay with that and take the time to do the self-investigation and ask the question, what am I getting out of doing something that I don't prefer to do? What is the negative belief convincing me here of that isn't necessarily true?
Oh,
Stay with
you
it.
just said the perfect words. And
There you go. There you go.
It's just staying in the moment. That's the key for me. Just being with that.
Yes. That's when they come up. That's all there is. There's nothing more important to do than deal with what comes up in the moment.
Right.
Nothing. Nowhere else you need to be that's more important.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I love the validation. You're amazing. Okay, I love you, Bashar. Thank
Our
you
unconditional love to you as well. Good day.
so much. Bye.
Good day, Bashar. I'm Brian from Santa Fe, New Mexico. In one of your previous channeling sessions, you mentioned that New Mexico, specifically Santa Fe, and the ancestor vortex is a good place to change the weather or experiment with the weather. I was wondering if you could go into more detail on that in regard to why that is. And also, I wanted to thank you because in the process of asking another question that I had, I actually was gifted with an answer from my higher self. So as you always say, you're acting as a permission slip, and I kind of experienced that firsthand. So thank you again. Much love. Bye-bye.
Congratulations. Now, different vortices have different qualities, and the Santa Fe vortex, by being connected to the ancestors in a specific way, is connected to a broad range of collective emotionality, and it is your emotionality that actually is reflected by certain weather patterns. So the idea is that in that vortex, it helps, as a permission slip, to amplify your connection to the collective emotional mind, so to speak, of your society. And thus you can see reflections of that connection emotionally playing out in weather patterns on your planet, especially at this time of climate change. There are many chaotic things going on your planet, and therefore the climate is reflecting that.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us.
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so.
So, I've been passionate about the science of path of least resistance in relationship to the science of synchronicity, flow state, and play and playfulness.
Yes, well, they're all interconnected and part of the package of acting on your passion.
Yes. So, a few years ago, in 2017, some of our neuroscientists showed that we are hardwired to follow the path of least resistance.
Yes.
And the same scientists, along with some other people, have written about it, that how we need to kind of manipulate this quote-unquote lazy nature. So I think that there is a misunderstanding about the path of least resistance.
There is a misunderstanding because it has nothing at all to do with laziness.
Yes, because they don't know who we are and how we are supposed to operate, and they don't know about the higher self, right, and formula, and
they don't.
They think that,
They don't. So they are mislabeling the idea or the notion of the path of least resistance. It simply means that as you follow that, your life becomes more effortless. You're more capable of accomplishing things. You can do less and get more. It's not laziness, it's efficiency.
Right. And the more I learn about our hunter-gatherer ancestors, I realize, based on your teachings, that they really followed, or those who still live, they really followed the formula.
Yes,
and
of course.
Live on synchronicity, right?
It's built into nature. The idea simply is just like nature. It actually, if your scientists are really observing things, nature uses the least amount that it needs to use in order to accomplish something. So again, it's not laziness, it's just energy efficiency.
Yeah. So that's the main reason I think that those hunter-gatherers, they didn't have all of these chronic diseases that we have in our modern society. It's one of the main reasons, right? Because
yes, they had some, but not as many. And it was for different reasons more often than not.
Okay. And then like and it's not health related, but you can say that, you don't answer, of course. In a lot of our chronic diseases, it has shown that we have mitochondrial dysfunction, and I think that it's also related to this resistance, mitochondrial burnout or dysfunction.
Yes, all resistance to the natural self will manifest in some form of dysfunction or pain or misalignment or inability to actually activate certain features within you. It is a dysfunctional vibration to be something you're not.
Yes. So my question now is, thank you for confirming this, because I wanted to be clarified and confirmed, and so I appreciate it.
Yes.
So now I have a question that if we want to, like, for example, measure this resistance, and maybe some scientists already probably do that and I'm not aware of it, but would it be one of the best way would be, like, for example, showing this mitochondrial dysfunction through oxidative stress and those things, or like through EEG patterns? Or...
Oh, it can be done in a number of ways. It's up to the imagination of the person and what they're attracted to use.
Okay. You don't have any word, I mean, because I'm passionate about this, and I'm not saying, but I thought that...
Well, the easiest and most obvious way is the idea of experiencing what you call negative experiences, negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative behaviors, the things that are disassociative, the things that are disconnecting, the things that spiral downward and separate and isolate in a negative way. Those are the easiest things because they're automatically reflected by the things and events going on synchronistically in your physical reality. So to us, that's simply the most obvious way to know that there's resistance, is what's your life like?
Okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you so much. That was it, and thank you so much again.
You are welcome. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. Good day. This is Miguel from Puerto Rico. I have a question about the window of contact. Now, from 2033 up until 2040, is that contact with the Yael, or is that contact including the third hybrid race, which is the Sasanis, contacting us? Or if there is another window that you can share where the Sasani people will be more closely interacting with people on Earth. And my second question would be, is there even another timeline that you can share where the contact is much closer? It will be with basically anyone who wishes to interact with you guys. If we are on the beach, if we are in our backyard, or wherever we might be, and we see crafts or being, and we could just have a conversation. When could that be in a possible, probable future? Thank you. Good day.
First of all, the timeline is not 2033 to 2040, it's 2023 to 2033 or 40. So that's a large window of time in which different kinds of open contact with different extraterrestrial beings can begin to happen slowly at first, probably in more isolated areas at first, until such time as your people get used to the idea and are more vibrationally compatible with the idea of open contact. Somewhere between 2023 and 2033, you will have open contact, not necessarily with the Yael first, but with another extraterrestrial being. But the Yael will be the first hybrid species to have open contact at the time when it is necessary to start bringing the children permanently to live among you on Earth. Sometime in that window, in those 10 years, 2023 to 2033, that process can begin, not end, but begin. Then, from 2033 to 2040, more likely that many other extraterrestrials, possibly including ourselves, will be able to interact with you along with many other beings. Certainly by 2050, you will have met many different extraterrestrials, including many members of our society, most likely. But the probabilities are always fluctuating a little bit, therefore we cannot be absolutely precise, because we will have to see where you are at any point in that window to determine what is appropriate for that particular moment.
Hi.
Good day.
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so. Thank you as well.
I'd like to talk about a situation I have where I am highly sensitive to sound. hypersensitive to even small sounds. I'd like to know first what the origin is. I think my mom had the same situation, the same challenge.
All right. Again, this to some degree is connected to a health issue, so we can only give you so much information. But what we can say is, as we perceive your overall vibration, the patterns of stress that you have in the past created in your life that lasted a long time have affected the nervous system in that area in a way that has stripped its buffering mechanism away to the degree that you are now hypersensitive to all vibrations that are sonic.
So does that mean that as the stress I'm currently experiencing subsides, then this might be alleviated?
If you can alleviate all the stress in your life by changing your outlook, your perspective, and your belief systems on every situation where you choose to experience stress, it's possible by the inclusion of certain substances within your body that are natural that you can rebuffer your nervous system so that the sensitivity will diminish.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's very helpful.
All right.
I recently had an experience where there was banging on my wall between my bedroom and my office, and it didn't come from my neighbor or any source that I could detect.
No, it came from you.
It was from me?
Yes, another aspect of your overall consciousness attempting to get your attention at that particular moment so that you would focus on different things.
Because my internet went out right after that.
Again, that's not unlikely when you are dealing with a surge of consciousness energy. It can affect electronic devices. And again, shutting down to get you to pay attention to other things.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Can you clarify the difference between hope and expectations?
Well, again, there may be many interpretations of this, even among your own people. Hope is a state of being that can be used in a positive way to remain in a positive state and fulfill the fourth requirement of the formula. In other words, remaining in a positive state so that you can gain the benefit of things. So hope as a state of being can be equivalent to that idea. At the same time, on the negative side, hope can also be the idea of a doubt that something will happen in the way that you prefer it to happen. I hope it happens, but I'm not sure. So it just depends on how it's being used. And the idea of expectation can be more of a hope that also carries insistence with it. I hope this happens in exactly this way because it must.
Okay. If planet Earth is a holographic universe, can you share who or what species is co-creating that with us?
Anyone that's aware of the idea of Earth, of course. Otherwise, they wouldn't be aware of it.
So it's a number of different ET species working in this holographic universe with us?
Well, yes. When we tell you that you have connections to Sirius or connections to the Greys or connections to any other extraterrestrial, those connections are representative of the fact that they're aware of you. And that means they're co-creating the idea of that relationship in their reality too. Otherwise, there would be no awareness. There would be no connection.
And is there a purpose for having this holographic universe to communicate with us to bring us to being the sixth hybrid race?
Is there a purpose to the holographic structure or a purpose to the connections?
Both.
Well, of course, the holographic structure is just the structure of existence. That's just the way it plays itself out in physical reality. So it doesn't need a purpose. That's just the way it's structured. But you can use it holographically to know that everything is accessible from any point, and therefore allow yourself to see distance as an illusion.
You mentioned recently that there's a mothership not far from our planet right now.
It's not a mothership, it's a space station.
Space station. Is that involved in this this experiment or this?
I suppose you're missing the point here. Anyone that is aware of the idea of Earth is involved in the co-creation of the reality that you're experiencing by being aware of extraterrestrials that are aware of you. Is that not clear?
No, I got it. I
All right.
understand.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Good day.
Good day.
Hi Bashar, my name's Renee from Adelaide, South Australia. My question is, I'm just curious whether the Sasani actually have fewer personality types than humans, because it seems to me almost like the personality types we have, the differences are almost a compensation for negative and fear-based belief systems. So I'm just curious if there's fewer personality types, and by the same token, if there's greater individual differences amongst the Sasani, because you're all being yourselves much more than we are. Thank you.
It is true that many of the personalities that you experience on Earth are compensating for the idea of fear-based beliefs. But the idea of the personalities of the Sasani are still wide-ranging. Yes, there is a type of similarity that may exist in all of us, but you will still recognize great differences in our personalities. It's just that they're all on the positive side. So, yes, to the idea of both of those issues.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you.
Good day. So, when you were talking about the shells, I didn't feel any personal connection, although I'm sure I have them.
Well, yes, you would have to in order to be physical on Earth,
right,
whether you feel it or not.
Until you were talking about the archetypal shell.
Yes.
I remember I told you about my dream guide named Berwin, and that he showed up in my dreams as a beam of light.
Yes.
It was like a beam of light that wore clothing, and you told me at some point that he was an archetypal path,
yes,
into shaman.
Yes.
And so when you were talking about the archetypal shell, I assume that's where I'm connecting to that energy.
Yes.
And that's the form that it takes for me, as opposed to when you were talking about elemental.
Yes. The shaman is an archetype.
Right. Okay. And I guess Earth specific.
Well, it doesn't mean there aren't such things on other planets, but yes, the shaman for Earth would be Earth specific. Otherwise, what would be the point?
Well, I mean, because of my energy being sort of cosmic.
That's all right. You're approaching it from the Earth gate. Therefore, it has to contain Earth specificity as well to make sense to you.
And would I be correct in saying that I focus more on my connection to the top two shells because of my cosmic connection?
Yes and no. You actually do have some strong connections to the elemental shell, but the idea is that it may not be time for that to unfold in your life yet.
Okay, that makes lots of sense. I had a dream recently that was really interesting, where an ocelot came out of the woods, and I knew it was looking for me. And I typically have dreams where big cats or, cats are looking for me. I'm scared of them.
Why?
I get to a point in the dream where I'm like, fine, if you're going to kill me, I face it, or, check me out, but don't kill me. And when yes?
They're there to kill a part of you.
What part?
Well, any of the assumptions that they're dangerous for you in the shamanistic world. They are symbols of great power. Take that to heart.
I do. And so I'm curious, because when I take that turn in the dream, in one dream, the jaguar folded into its own mouth and became like a cosmic-looking infinity sign.
Yes. Even cats can be the Ouroboros.
Yes. And then in the most recent dream, I told the ocelot, smell me, but don't kill me. I'm chilled out. It smelled me, and then all of a sudden, it jumped back 40 feet and ran away.
Yes.
Why?
Because you weren't ready for the next level yet.
Huh.
Which was okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay, last question, ish. is...
No, let's make it absolute.
Okay, fair. Absolutely last question. So, in this multidimensional way station that Earth is now, where we're seeing into all sort of other portals and realities, and whether we prefer them or not,
yes,
I'm recognizing that there are a lot of people who, because of the oppressive history of humanity, are going into their fear-based beliefs of trusting less and less of collective sort of organization.
Yes, and splitting off into the parallel realities where they may allow that to accelerate.
Right. And so I was curious, from my reality, other than being myself and expressing to them that they don't need to go into fear, if there are other creative ways that you can see in my being that it would benefit.
There are stories that you can write that might be of assistance.
Yeah, books, yeah.
Yeah. When will you do that?
You asked me that a year ago, and I said a year, and you know what? I haven't done anything.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Next
time we talk, I'll have done something.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Bashar. It's always a pleasure.
Good day.
Good day. Hello, Bashar. Question about the hybrid children. Do they like to play with weather patterns? My husband and I were hiking in the woods the other day. It was a really nice, clear day. And I could sense that there were some hybrids that had joined us for that walk. And at one point, there was this huge wind. It was like a big whoosh, really, really loud, that just swept through the forest. My husband and I couldn't figure out what that was. And then it started to rain really hard. And somehow the rain was only hitting our backsides. And we started running because at this point we still have 2 miles to go and we were afraid we were going to get caught in a storm. And as we're running, the rain and the wind stop. And then we slow down. And then it starts again and we start running again. And the entire time I have the distinct feeling that we're being laughed at and like playfully messed with. And it was something like I got a telepathic impression that one of them had said to the other, "Oh, watch how fast they run if we turn up the wind a little bit." And I was wondering, is this something the hybrids do for fun? Play with weather? Thanks.
Yes, sometimes they are a little bit mischievous and they like to play games like that. But we will say that in the case you are mentioning, while they may have been involved, they weren't the only beings involved in that. Many beings can be quite playful and use elements of your reality to play those games and tricks on you to see what you will do. And they do get enjoyment out of it, but they will never do it to the point where they harm you.